but I still have the ability to see the traffic to my page. I just didn't use this ability in the past. And a few days ago, when there was a bug, I just looked on the page and there was so much traffic. Like in my domain and in many domains other than mine, like for example finance, it's not that necessary to have so many tools. Like if you have your computer with you, you can work. And if I was focused solely on social media or primarily, it would much better develop social media, but at the same time, it would cost me not developing other things enough.
Hello, I'm Dustin PolyInnovator. Today I'm talking with Paul Sobiecki, who describes himself as a physicist who does cool projects, founder of CrossPaths.me, and CEO of Moonshot Operations. Thank you for joining me on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight.
Thanks for having me on, and nice to meet you.
Once again, we talked a little bit before, and this is going to be one of the first kind of calls that I do with someone who's a founder, creating a tool for creators. And in this kind of case, you're kind of becoming a creator yourself in order to market the tool. So we can get into that kind of dynamic as well.
Yeah, definitely. So my background is in physics. So my natural field of operation is much more technical than social. So this was completely something that I have to learn anew after finishing my studies. So it changed a lot. Also, one interesting thing to make is that the difference between physics and content creation is much, much smaller than between physics and business in general. Like business is so much focused on time efficiency and delivering something, whatever, in a given period of time, whereas in physics, especially in theoretical physics, basically anything below perfection is pointless. Like you can do that, but it's pretty much pointless.
And really, a lot of content creators strive for perfection as well. And it's really one of those things where you're just wasting time on that when it's a matter of just getting things out there and making progress. An object of motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. And that other force is your audience in this case, or perhaps even your non-audience online. So it's definitely a very interesting comparison you made there, Paul.
Yeah, for me, like I try to understand that usually content creation right now seems to be more in the Gen Z direction, where authenticity and spontaneity is much more important than perfection. Mm-hmm. I try to remind myself of that. Like, for example, it was like a week or 2 or 3 or something like that ago. I have the problems with perceiving distances of time sometimes. I was on a run, literally on a run, like not a special run whatsoever, just decided to go for a long run. It was 20 kilometers. So around, what is it, like 12 miles? Something in the vicinity of that. And I think that it was like I was pretty much almost finishing the race, not the race, but the run. And I just noticed that I started getting a lot of questions about my project on Twitter. So I started to respond to them and just made a pic of myself, like mid-run, when you are as exhausted and as unprepared as whenever possible. And it was literally the first pic I took of myself, and I ran forward after replying to the posts. And it did pretty well, not wonderful, but pretty well. And I think this is quite a way to go. It's more of a psychological thing that we have to fight with, to be open and feel free to do that, to do something that is imperfect, spontaneous, and do that like more frequently rather than something polished. Like it's not physics, it's content creation. The point is to not release something once every 10 years. The point is to release something once every day or a week or whatever the schedule is. And yeah, and by the way, one thing that I want to mention, I said that the point is to release something every day or so. I don't release things every day or so. I struggle like everybody else. So yeah.
What's really funny is that I resonate with that quite a bit. I've always preached to the moon about, posting every day. And actually, there's a content creator who you might learn a lot from called Gary Vee. And he's a very famous business owner. You probably heard of him already. But something he kept saying over and over again to me, not to beat it personally, but like through keynotes that hit me really down deep, was that you should be posting 100 times per day across all these different platforms.
Oh, yeah.
But but the thing is, like, your reaction is, just worthy. You're like, oh my gosh, it's crazy, right? But
Yeah.
if you think about it, tweets are super easy, right? You could make 5 tweets in a day, like it's no problem. And if you were to make a video like this, I would toss it into a tool like Opus Clip, or I could actually just do it myself at some point and create a whole bunch of clips, either a dozen, or in my case, I usually get a couple dozen. That's already like, 25 clips right there, plus the main video. Plus, every time I make a video, I send out a tweet, a Blue Sky post, a Mastodon post, a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, and I usually do an Instagram picture of you, of this episode and stuff like that. So that's already another 8 posts right there across the different social media platforms, Pinterest as well. And so if you think about it, just by making one video, you can do a whole bunch already. And then you're pretty active on Twitter, so tweeting a whole bunch is not a big deal. So you can already get to like 50 pretty easily. And then learning how to do maybe LinkedIn more, or Pinterest or TikTok or something like that would help you get to those last 50, if that makes sense. And again, like you said, no perfection, just working on getting things out there and being real and authentic.
Yeah, you said about using one content structure, one content type, like video, and then multiplying it. Like it's an obvious masterpiece to do, because you multiply your efforts. It's something that should be done by everyone. I don't do it, but I
You're
honestly,
still used to new to it though.
yeah. But the problem with video content overall is that it's the highest threshold of like effort you have to put in. So, for example, tweeting is like very natural, because you just type something in, like you would type a message to your girlfriend or something. It's not as tiring, and you don't judge yourself as much as you do for a video, a picture, or something like that before you post. So yeah, I honestly admire recording videos. I haven't got up to it yet, or not yet well enough.
This is an interview about you, so I don't want to share too much of my own personal anecdotes, but I definitely understand that, though, is what I'm trying to say. I did not enjoy doing videos before, and I had a really hard time. I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I eventually would enjoy it, since I like to talk and I like people, right? Like, you and I got along famously in our first chat because we just were able to talk and talk and talk. Video creation is like that. It's just pretending that that camera in front of you is another person that you're just talking to. And depending on your personality, whether you're more of an introverted, extrovert, ambivert like me, that could be a different case for you. You might be more of a writer. You might be more of a podcaster. And maybe you don't mind talking, but you don't feel comfortable on camera. And that was kind of my trajectory. I started writing, started doing audio, started doing video. And I think, based on the stuff I talk about on this channel, you should do all three eventually, but you have to build those skills up individually too.
Yeah, that's something that I'm trying to do right now. Like, I try to familiarize with myself with taking a picture of myself, of anything I do, and start using that more and more on Twitter, so that I would ease into TikTok or YouTube and other platforms. So I learned this shamefully recently, like in life and in experience, how much having a steady trajectory counts. So basically, if you were to, like, in a truly hypothetical scenario, try to work out the best path to accomplish anything, it would be under trying, over trying, like where you get to the optimal line, and you wiggle at the proximity to it. But in life, if you are able to like all of the time be a little bit under the curve, so do a little bit less than optimal, but something that is more sustainable, then it's much better, much more
Yeah.
sustainable, works a long time, and everything in life, pretty much everything, demands a whole bunch of weeks, years, even years, like I said, of doing something consistently.
Yeah, the consistency is key. That's what a lot of we haven't even gotten to the questions yet, but I find that this dialogue is really interesting. You're at a particular precipice of your content creation journey because you want to market your stuff and you realize that this is important. And like, I can see that you're already thinking about the different avenues and different aspects to content creation and marketing. And so I think that a lot of people watching in on this could learn a lot from what you're saying, especially from your point of view at this stage. So that's why I'm really kind of digging into this with you. Consistency has definitely been something that I've struggled with a lot. And I tried to like batch ahead of time too. Alternatively, making it simpler. That's why authenticity is kind of helpful, because then you could just be more raw and unedited and it takes less effort to post. I was even thinking, like, what if you did a selfie every day, right? And just wrote a paragraph idea on Instagram or whatever, you could cross post it to Twitter and Pinterest too. Like cross posting, something that people don't think about. But you could take that same post, maybe write something different per platform, but you don't necessarily have to, especially at this early stage for you. But it's just like that's a cool idea.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
post something daily.
yeah, definitely. And I think I'm trying to do so. I'm developing into that, and I'm getting better with that. One thing that I have to notice is that we always have a choice what to do in a given day, and that time is so limited, like enormously. The limitation is very heavy. So usually I focus on first on developing the project and the whole strategy. So not just like a point-wise development, but rather something that nicely fits in with the long-term trajectory. And out of that stems how much I can commit my time to social media and stuff like that. So if I did the reverse, and if I was focused solely on social media or primarily, it would much better develop social media, but at the same time, it would cost me not developing other things enough. So it's always the choice. And for me, in particular, I right now decide to spend like, I don't know, 20% of my time on social media and not much, not more. So with this
It's hard to
approximate,
say whether or not that's enough or not, because like for you it might be perfect. For me, it would be too little or something like that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. It's very it's very also related to a particular person. For me, social media is tiring because I am a person that loves working with pen and paper or with computer and just long sessions of deep thinking. This is something like that I actually love. Like if I have a free at the time of let's say 3 hours or so when I can just focus on any deep subject and just deep, like it can be demanding cognitively or creatively, but something that I have to really get deep into it's just wonderful. Like these are the moments that I live for in my work. They are just
Mm.
wonderful. So this is something that gives me fuel.
It's like deep work, as they call it, with Cal
Yeah.
Newport. And the idea of my first question here is like the idea of like content creator, business owner, but really, what got you started on this journey or wanting to create cross paths and stuff like that?
Like the thing is that after I finished studying, I started to do things like data science and stuff like that. But I noticed that, let's say that you are a physicist and you want to do physics full time, but full time not definitely like not necessarily academically, but rather sometimes like for example, there is Sabine Hossenfelder. Oh, this is the right surname. So she is just a great physicist, a great theoretical physicist. She is not in any academical setting right now. I believe so. But she spends like in my domain and in many domains other than mine, like for example finance. It's not that necessary to have so many tools. Like if you have your computer with you, you can work. And famously, maybe not famously, but one of my professors said that for theoretical physicists, if you have all that you need are pen, paper, and a bin to throw the sheets of paper where the ideas didn't work.
Yeah.
So when you have these three objects, you have everything. And so when I finished studying, I noticed that, and I kept noticing that along all of my path with all projects that I did in the past, that you cannot sustain yourself and do physics or finance or anything. Like you cannot be a designer without doing a day job or so. So what I wanted to do is to bring bring the ideas like content creation, connect the model of freelance and content creation more. I believe that if you want to work on something deeply in your life, you should be able to sustain yourself just because of calls if you are good, and not necessarily by having a day job or something like that. And I
Yeah,
believe this
I've
is.
known plenty of people who do. Sorry.
I just said that I believe that this is the time to do so, to
Mhm.
witness this shift.
Consultations and just really coaching in general online has grown significantly since the quarantine time especially. But I remember I remember being on Skype with my late mentor back in like 2013, 2014, something like that, and just having a conversation with someone like him, 2015 or something like that too. But like being on a video call and just having that conversation with someone who I look up to. And then in 2020, when Zoom started getting a lot more popular and Riverside came out, people started doing a lot more digital calls and it became a lot more normal. And so even from 2015 to 2020, I remember seeing like the world of online coaching, and it was still a thing. People did it, but it wasn't as commonly perceived. Now, since COVID, it's one of those things where people become coaches online all the time. And with tools like CrossPass or even just like simply Calendly, being able to make meetings with people, it's really interesting. It would be helpful for the audience too, I think, for you to explain your tool as well.
Yeah, so this is basically, you can say that this is a Calendly on steroids or a storefront in bio, something like that. So when it comes to the first description of how you can put it, basically you get a Calendly where you can set the meetings to be paid. So anybody who visits your link can schedule a call with you. And one unique thing about this service is that each time slot is priced individually based on an algorithm. So you type in just the minimal number, the minimal number of dollars that you want to earn. So the quantity that will satisfy you, and then our algo takes into account the demand for discussions with you and the urgency of the call. So something that is more urgent will be more expensive than something than a time slot that is 3 weeks from now. So this is this is right now a tool to earn just because you put in a link in bio that not only has links to like your profiles on social media like Linktree, but actually more. So you can make your income just from being on social media and having the right link put into bio.
Something that just came to mind that I should have asked you more the last time we talked, but do you have any idea about embeds? So if I wanted to put it on my site and have people buy time with me through some sort of medium there's like options of embedding it in a page. And so I just have a little module. There's also the little dot in the corner. I'm not sure if you've seen a lot of that for like web chats with the staff or whatever, like a CRM. It'd be interesting to have like a little button in the corner and be like, hey, do you want to book some time with me? And then I could just have access to, CrossPass on my site.
Yeah, definitely. Like the site right now is embeddable, but it's not done yet on the UI side. So there's no like a crispy neat button where when you click, you get the precise code to put in. So right now, when the project is out at the MVP stage, you would literally have to write to me to just tell you how to do that. But it's just,
iframe and all that.
yeah, this is just the inconvenience of the MVP stage, right?
Yeah, you're still early on. I'm thinking more theoretical at this point, like what you're planning on doing. Like, for example, Ko-Fi is something I use for, not memberships, but to support me on my journey. On my website, I have a membership too, so there's 2 different memberships you could do. But I also wanted to sell my digital products, and maybe we can get into that topic here in a bit as well. But digital products, I was like, I don't really want Gumroad. Pinsite we talked about wasn't really good. And so there really wasn't many options for me to host my templates for my products that I've made and my product templates. And so the interesting thing was I went with Ko-Fi and I posted it on there. But now the Ko-Fi has a very limited option of embeds. Literally, you can embed like a little module to donate a tip, or you can do a button. And each one that I've done actually fails to show up properly on my website, for example. So I can't even embed that, if that makes sense. And so embedding is something that's very important to me personally, but I was just curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think so. I think exactly the same because, like, for example, let's take designers. Designers quite frequently want to have their own page just to showcase their skills. So in that particular case, it would be nice to just have one place where, for example, a calendar would show up, right? So, for example, specifically a designer might want to have a discovery call with potential users and discovery calls are usually free. So they would have to have the free calls there. So ProSoft also handles free calls, of course. And so one should be able to just put neatly the calendar there. And like you mentioned, and probably I'm just forecasting what you will ask me of. Like Gumroad and selling courses and other digital products online. So my general idea when it comes to developing this project, and actually when it comes to social media and content creation overall, because this is tied to the strategy, is that I want to develop the product approximately feature by feature. Right now, there are just three things that you can do on the website, put in on your page, on your own page, to have the link to send people. The link to send people, and one is the calendar when someone can book the call. Of course, above the calendar, the small icons for social media are displayed, but this is not the point. Like the calendar, the second one are your products, and when it comes to your products, I distinguish them from any other kind of link because I believe that it's very reasonable that people want to see a product in action. So the creator of the product to show the product. So for example, if this is like a digital product, then it's a screen sharing kind of a thing. But when, for example, you designed a hoodie or another physical object, you should be able to just showcase, hey, this is how it looks like, this is what it's made of, this is how it stretches, So products on CrossPaths are displayed with a video. You add a video of a walkthrough on anything you want. This also applies to any affiliate links you may want to put there. So this works very well for example, Amazon Live influencers. And the third type is just links, so just something like Linktree. Yeah.
I find it really interesting too, the idea of the user interface of it, because I had an issue with Pinside a little bit with like how it flowed with the links. You could change the order of stuff. If I wanted to have a coaching call, then a product, then a link, and switch it around, I could. And this is just useful, I think, for you to this here as well, because I'm wondering, like, okay, so the point of a link tree is either to have a call to action, like go buy my book or go to my website. And then the other point of a link tree or link aggregation of links, aggregator, is to have like your social media. So if I want to find you, Paul, on LinkedIn, I go to your, crosspaths.me page, and I'm like, okay, here's his LinkedIn, or here's his TikTok, here's his YouTube. And that kind of mindset is one of those things where I'm like, okay, which one is a priority? Then really me as the user, I might have different priority than Paul as a user. And so I'm thinking out loud there where it's like, what is the priority? What will be the options of moving things around? I almost thought like, okay, a lot of the link trees will have the links at the top. Like here's all the socials, but what if they had it vertically on the side next to all the links? So that way you still had, like you didn't have to scroll to get to the social links at the bottom, for example. They're all right there versus having the normal links. Yeah, you get what I mean.
Yeah. So the difference between so let's first have the stricter or more negative information than the positive. The negative here would be that in general, I plan CrossPaths to be much simpler in design. Just a white background and simple information. So it's less modifiable by the user. There is no changing of the background and stuff like that, but it's related to how it's going to develop in the future. So when you mentioned ordering of things. Right now there is no change of order. So calendar, products, links in this order. I chose that because I believe that this is like there are two possible ways you can look at it. The first one is from direct to less direct structures. Direct meaning that you are going to literally meet the person. Then you are going to see the person, and then you just see some text that is clickable. So this is one line of reasoning. The second line of reasoning was that people told me that it would be better the potential users to first display the most expensive things and then later display the less expensive things. So as it usually happens, meeting a person, maybe not like in live, but online on a call, is much more expensive than buying a course from them. So that's the reason why why this order is like that. If I get a lot of pressure to put the ability to change order, it's not very important to not have that. Then it will be brought on service. But when it comes to changing, for example, background, I am not planning to do that, because in the long term, I want the service to be much more active than Linktree, in the sense that it's not just that you can put the link on your social media, but actually that we also provide some traffic for you. And to provide traffic, there is the whole other side when it comes to searching for people and stuff like that. And this should be much more, the experience of searching and looking at different profiles of people should be much more the same when it comes to looking at different people. So I don't want this experience of like first social media, I believe it was MySpace or something like that. I don't remember, when you were able to modify your page a whole bunch. It will be much, much simpler than that.
I will say, like, you should at least have a dark mode, because the light mode is blinding. So if you're not going to give colors, that's fine, but you should have light and dark.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah, this is something that I'm pondering frequently about this specific thing, because one thing that I noticed heavily during designing this is that it's much, much easier, incomparably easier, and for sure incomparably easier to what I was expecting, designing using a black or dark background than a white one, simply because we are psychologically used to the fact that when it's very dark, you see just not very, you don't see very much. So when you see just a few objects on a dark background, it is just natural. Whereas when the background is white, you have to think so much just to make things play pretty nicely in this white, very white background. Why white and not black was chosen was because I plan the website to be more related to work than to leisure. Like if I had to choose work or leisure, it's more work related than leisure related. But
you're still MVP, still early.
Yeah. It's like I'm just throwing out there my thoughts, but we'll see what happens and what information I get back. So I believe that. By the way, when I say work, it's not like LinkedIn where it's purely work. I just think that this is slightly moved to the work side, and that's all. So. And because if it was to be work related, then you want to have like more energy out of the service. So if it's so bright when you look at it, it should be okay, and you shouldn't look at it at midnight. But that's just some, a story along thing that I said that like we'll see in reality how much of a pressure to make changes is. This is something that is just quite easy to do to add the dark mode.
Yeah, down the line and whatnot.
Yeah.
Something that came to mind, and it's no longer available, so I couldn't even find like a picture to show you, but there was a website called disco.app, DSKO, and it was essentially a social network link tree. That was the best way to go about it. And I thought it was really amazing. I even saw a lot of big podcasters and YouTubers actually use it. And I wish that it continued, because I think they just didn't get enough funding, or they kept trying to do too much. But essentially, you had like your banner, your pictures. It looked kind of like a social profile. Then you had like maybe like a sentence description, but it had all your social links. And I don't remember what it had underneath there, but I could have sworn it had some sort of other text or link or something like that. But essentially, it was just like a partial link tree and a partial profile, like on Twitter. And then you could scroll through and you could see everybody else's profile. So it was like having this person's link tree, but having hundreds of them. And you could just keep scrolling. So you could search by podcaster, you could search by YouTuber. And I thought this was a really an amazing way of creating this social network. And it was just very functional. Like, here is the links. For you could have like the calendar and products underneath that too, which would be really interesting, which Disco couldn't have. And that might have been the difference there, where you could take 10% off the top or something like that. We could talk about monetization model later on. But I thought this app was really cool. And if I find a screenshot of it, I'll send it to you on Twitter. But man, it just came to mind. It seems perfect, because you were talking about like bringing traffic to the creator as well. That would be a way to bring traffic.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is the area of thing that I have also like. I think that this is a good idea, and some direction towards that will be present. So yeah.
Actually, you know what? I think I found something here for you. I want to share the screen so that way people online can see, because it's fascinating, and I think that you have a lot to offer in a lot of different ways, regardless of which way you go about it. There's a lot of cool things you could do. So let me see. Share screen. So I think that this is the basic of it. Oh, come on. Let me see a picture. So, I mean, I think this was an earlier version of it, but essentially you had all these different topics. You had YouTube, you had podcast, and then you had different profiles that you had maybe for like, I have one profile for my PolyTools one profile for my PolyInnovator one, because they're technically separate brands. And you had like the one-line description, the link, your main link, like your website, and then you had all your socials. But I could definitely see that this banner being skinnier, and then underneath there having the calendar, like, hey, let's meet, and then having a couple products right here. And we talked about like Pick My Brain and stuff like that last time too, which has a similar vibe. But I thought this was really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. This is something that I'm also thinking of. Like, there are some differences that I would put forward. Like, for example, I believe in having one column, so you scroll instead of having this grid. But other than that, this is close to what I have in mind. Close-ish to what I have in mind.
I love that. And so really, there's a lot of things we could talk about today, but I'm really curious to see, like, you're starting out on your journey to content creation here to market this tool. What tools are you using in order to accomplish this? Like, what are you trying to do? What are you using to make tweets or making pictures? And what are you posting to? That kind of thing.
Okay, so there are two things that I have to say quickly, and then there's a lot of discussion about it. So one thing is that currently I use nothing, just in particular moment. So when I write something and post something, it's literally using Twitter's UI, and that's it. But this is right now, like today. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. So this is actually something that repeatedly turns out for me to be true, that I often test the tools. There is something wrong with them. And there is the period where I just don't use any tool until I find a new one. So for example,
trust me, I get that.
Like for example, I used Tweet Hunter in the past. And right now, I'm currently annoyed with Tweet Hunter. Although, for example, I like the founder of Tweet Hunter, Thibaut. I think he's valuable and he has some cool insights. So I tried Tweet Hunter. I don't use it right now. I tried Hyper Theory. I don't use it now. There are other tools like Tweet. I don't remember it. Okay,
but those two are very old too. They've been out for a long time.
Yeah, so if you have something to recommend me, then definitely do so, because right now I don't use. And yeah,
the only thing I can think of is the tool I use for cross posting and stuff like that, and so I'm a little biased. But NUELINK, New Link, and there's a link down in the description anyways already, because I affiliate market with them or whatnot, because I love the tool. So just for context, I think that it's great that you don't use the tool right now. You're early enough, you don't need to, and that's fine. And I wanted to point that out. I think that's really interesting that like content creators don't realize that you don't have to use tools. They help you. And sometimes I think automation, in this sense of like using tools to help you accelerate and do more, that's very important. But unless you're ready for that stage, you're just wasting time looking for tools and trying to use the tools. I wasted way too much time ages ago because of this. And so I just wanted to make that point with you, Paul. Like, if you don't need a tool, you don't need a tool.
Yeah, you definitely don't. Like, it's not about the tool. The tool is just literally something that should make your work and your life easier, but it's not about the tool. Like, one other thing that I see so frequently, like so much people right now want to show how much of an expert they are, and they want to give like some advice and stuff like that. Jesus, why does everybody want to give advice? Like, well, like, show something interesting, like unique and interesting. Don't give advice all the time. Like, I don't, like, honestly, I don't understand this. Like, if people wanted to show, like, Usually, if you do something, you have some interesting bits about yourself and your work that you can show. Like, hey, for example, I'm flying right now to Texas because I just want to talk to this guy who may work for our company for the next 5 years or so. Hey, I just ran a 5K and I don't know, my ankle doesn't feel right, or something like you always have something in your life around the subject that you are doing, and people don't want to post about that simply because nobody cares about us. But what they don't notice is that they care about the journey that we represent, and in the light of the journey there's the person who takes the journey, so they want to see how it goes, how is it possible, is it doable, repeatable, or like if someone can repeat the journey. So this is very useful. And if you just post an advice and you are just not well known, you don't have like 30 years of experience behind your back, there's a whole risk that your advice is not right, for one reason or another. And people just feel that, yeah, there's a lot of advice, a lot of contradictory advice, so they don't know what to do. Just it's not very down to earth, not very cool, not very like entertaining. There's a lot of drawbacks to just having just showing your expertise and nothing else.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because like you're kind of calling me out there a little bit because I always like to show my expertise or whatever, but I thought it was funny. And so I taught swimming for a very long time. And so I want to share that with people. But if someone doesn't care about swimming, then they don't care about me at that point, right? They in the online world, it's very cut dry where it's like they either like you or they don't. And that could be your personality, it could be what you know. And there's a lot of interesting aspects of that. Something that you are doing right now is like you're revamping kind of your online presence to help situate what you're doing with this project. And so like we were talking about this before the call, like using what name do you use, like the more anglified name, or do you use your username, or do you use your birth name? And then on top of that, you're creating these different profiles now, I presume at least. And if you need a consultation call, you know who to call.
Yeah, we spoke about this. So in Polish, my name is Paweł, but I just didn't want to complicate my life to always say how to pronounce both my name and my last name. So I just go with Paul most of the time. I like the name, the English analog of my name, the Paul, the word Paul. So it's fine with me. And so maybe in the future I will go with my like born name or this other version when some like there is this guy called Pavel Totsolini or something. There is this I forgot his last name. But there is this other version of moving my name into English where you just change the last letter and the middle letter, that is W in Polish, just put it as a V, because W in Polish is read as a V, whereas in English it's not read as V. So there is this choice to be made, and these different versions of how one can present oneself to a wider audience when it's not from an Anglo
I almost think there might be a creative way you can make a username with your name. If you're already changing the letters because you want to reach this audience more or something like that, you might even be able to come up with a unique username. Like, hey, pause is pretty cool already, but like coming up with a name that really kind of exemplifies what your name actually says, but also maybe has a pun when it comes to what you're doing or too. It might be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like in the hypos, there is this pause. So Paul with the last letter changed to S. This is the abbreviation of my first and last name. So, but the English version of my first name and my last name. So this is something that I went with, but yeah, I don't know which what is the best option. Like for example, right now on LinkedIn, I'm Paweł, just so just because I had LinkedIn for 10 years. I didn't pay too much attention to it anytime.
At least you had it.
Yeah, but yeah, you just open your account, you just type in something, anything, and you just forget about it. This is the story of my life when it comes to LinkedIn. Yeah, I sometimes there are these bursts of activity where when I need to contact people using LinkedIn, then I use it, but usually I just forget it for long periods of time.
Mm. I think that's really interesting too when it comes to personality type. But I think even if, let's say, you're the most extroverted person in the world, you want to be on every platform, it's still one of those things where you have to remember the platform exists and you have to still go on there and make a habit of it. And as a content creator, I think a lot of people don't realize that you have to actually use the platform to really understand it. Like I became a TikToker because I watched a lot of TikToks and I wanted to create videos on there for my podcast or whatever. But point is, I had watched, I consumed a whole bunch, so I understood the trends. I understood the way to make things and how to do it properly. And then I started doing stuff. Same thing with LinkedIn or Twitter. And what's really cool about like Blue Sky and Mastodons are very much like Twitter. So a lot of lessons you can take from Twitter, you can then go make a profile on those other two and basically cross post between them and not have really any issue because there's not very much differences between the three. Whereas with Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok, the differences are a lot more apparent, even though you still could take that same post and post it to all three. It might not perform as well in all three, but yeah. Like there's those two different trios, and those two different trios, even though you could take the same post, post it all three, take the same post, post it all three, it's not the same. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's actually, I believe that it's even worse because for example, TikTok has a lot of randomness to it, as I understand
Yeah.
it. So when you open an account of pretty much anybody on TikTok and you look at what's most popular,
Mm.
quite frequently you would say that the video that is most popular shouldn't be the most popular, but rather the video that is fifth or so along the line. So I think that just because TikTok throws post to test on a small audience before magnifying it to a larger one means that this algo is flawed and well, it's sort of random at times. It's not definitely a bad idea to do it this way, but I'm just pointing out that even within this one platform, you can never be sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can honestly post something extremely useful, pretty, and I don't know, so rewarding both on the very TikTok, so within seconds, and insightful and memorable and all of that, and still not perform well just because of randomness, even if you had a large account. So there is no full predictability. One thing that is nice to notice here is that it even more shows that repeated effort is what counts. So if you do good stuff, like not wonderful but pretty good stuff, many times over, then you're going to get audience and attention. So this is the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So on your tool, you can host digital products, and I noticed you had some digital products in the past as well. So what brought you to create stuff like the Stoic flashcards or goal hacking protocols, etc.? Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to those particular things, like I just sometimes want to do like there are many mechanisms that justify doing a project. For example,
Mm-hmm.
one thing is that you just have a need to put something out there. So because let's say that you want to work something out, you want to find information about something, memorize something or stuff like that. This is one thing. Another thing is that you can put a product out there, a tiny product out there like flashcards or something like that, just for its own sake and sell it. And the third type is that you can use it as a mechanism to give something free and hope that in return someone will check out your paid product or something like that. So I
Yeah.
did all of these three things. So like every product is different. So a justification, a reason, the inner reason for me to put them out there, yeah, they are different, but most of the time with small projects like that, it's just something to do quickly, put out there. There's not like months of work behind it, so there's not like an extreme depth. Just do something, put out there, and that's it.
It's just interesting when I saw that, especially the stoicism aspect, and I just wanted to ask. And really kind of coming down to like the last question here, what do you have coming down the line that you're looking most forward to?
Oh, this is an interesting question. Okay, so for example, can I answer also physics or only?
That's fine. Yeah. Whatever
So
you
when it
like.
comes to physics, I'm trying to finish my paper, my
Mhm.
first paper that I'm going to publish. It's going slowly, but it's getting there. So, and the thing is that I cannot predict, for the love of God, like under no reason, and there is no way to predict how much longer it will take. It can maybe
Oh no.
weeks, months, years. You cannot have any idea. Like really, it's completely unpredictable. One thing that I noticed is that I work by having one most important goal for a week, a day, and stuff like that. And when it comes to, if I wanted to write a goal so I like this concept of one thing. So distilling one thing that would make everything else easier or unnecessary in a given period of time. So in a day, in a week or so, this particular question, this way to think about it is great. And so in physics, there is this problem that you can only do a small part of your even a daily goal and get completely stuck, and you cannot move forward. So in physics, this is, I look forward to finishing my paper. Like I said, it may take years, but in business, right now I want to launch the product on bigger and bigger markets. Currently it was in the phase of testing what the response is going to be on Twitter, but in the future it will be launched to, like, for example, Product Hunt and bigger audiences, and I look forward to that. It's actually something that is very rewarding because I get very, very good responses about the product.
Yeah.
So this is very nice. Like, even like, there's no Google Analytics or something like that under the platform right now. There should be. There isn't yet. There may be in the future, but there isn't yet. But I still have the ability to see the traffic to my page. I just didn't use this ability in the past. And a few days ago, when there was a bug, I just looked on the page, and there was so much traffic. Like I like I could honestly, like, if it was just, I don't know, 10 visits per day, I would be like, I was testing something, and that's the reason why. But when I see like I don't know, 100 page views at 4 a.m. my time, I'm not working at 4 a.m. Like this is
Yeah.
pretty impossible for me to work at 4 a.m. Sometimes it happens, but it's only on a rare occasion. So
Which means there's people looking.
yeah, this is pretty crazy. And like at the level where the product is not launched to super wide audiences yet, this is very rewarding. Like everywhere I look, there are some signs that the project is getting traction. So this
Well,
is something that really blows
yeah.
the wind into my. Yep, it's cool. It's very cool.
It's blowing the wind into your sails, making it much more.
Yeah,
It's hard
yeah.
when you're building an MVP because you feel like you're alone in the world, and you have to just kind of like alone in the wind. I was trying to build a video game a couple years back, and I just don't know enough coding to really make it happen. But I was doing everything else behind it. I made databases of people and how their teams would orient. I had all these different mechanisms for typing advantages against other characters. I had the map set up. I had everything that I wanted from the video game, but I couldn't get it progress, and so I was alone in this. And I tried making some posts about it to get it out there, to get the name out there. But without having some sort of oomph to it, no one cares. And so for you at least are starting to have that oomph, so people can see that now, that little spark, like, okay, people can see that spark, and now that can steamroll a little bit. And you talk about Product Hunt or G2, and those platforms are a lot bigger. Like, yes, some startups do it pretty early on, but really you want to try to have some sort of bigger spark before you go on a platform like that. And I was thinking like r/Micro-SaaS or r/side project on Reddit would be two great places to like showcase what you're doing right now, and people can kind of come in early on into the alpha, if you will, before you're even at the beta, so you can see what's going on. And that might be like, you don't have to have as big of a spark to be on those places yet.
Yeah, definitely. Like when it comes to Reddit, in the past, it was a pretty useful tool. There's some level of hate that I don't like on Reddit, because I believe that, for example, like I believe a situation where you post something honestly useful, like truly useful. And at the bottom of the post, you hey, also this is a link to something that I am working out on. This should be like met with positivity. It's not always done so. So this is something that confuses me, but in general, I like Reddit, and in the past it was pretty useful to me, successful, and I felt a lot of impact there. So actually, today or tomorrow, I'm going to start planning my strategy for. Okay, tactics. It's not a whole strategy, but for Reddit.
Yeah. Micro-SaaS and side project are the two ones that come to mind, but you might even do like indie hackers or something like that. And there's also communities for indie hackers on Twitter too, so that might be really good to tap into. And one thing that I've noticed with Reddit and LinkedIn, sometimes other platforms, but those two in particular, for some reason they get really iffy about links. So on like LinkedIn, supposedly LinkedIn suppresses your post if you have a link in there. So what people do is they copy that link, put it in the first comments, and that way you kind of get past that automatic suppression. Reddit doesn't necessarily do that, I don't think, but moderators get really bad about that. And so I had a post recently that was very positive and very happy and like trying to communicate with the people in that community, but I shared a Discord link for the same community basically. And they got really anti Discord recently, so they completely deleted my post. And I'm like, guys, what the hell? Like, you removed the link, but like, just let me have this post. And they were like, yeah, if you remove the link, you can post it again. And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to do that because you guys are screwing me over now at this point. But that's just me being salty. I'm just saying you want to make sure you are careful with links on there, even if it's a really great post. Quora was a place that was like that too. You answer questions. They got really anti-links for no reason. I would share links that had nothing to do with me. Like, here's a resource I found. Here's a resource I found. I want you to have it because I think that's really great. And they thought I was spamming. And I was like, no, not just me, but anybody. And it was really weird. So just keep that in mind, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, one other thing is that like you have problems when you have a small platform or anything like that to share, because even if someone that doesn't know you wants to share your platform among a list of 10 platforms or so, if they share a link to facebook.com, like literally facebook.com without a slash or anything, then the probability that this will fly is enormously higher than if you add a link to a specific small platform, just because people will be less likely to think of it as an ad. So you just have this additional problem, that even if someone wants to link your product, they may not be able to.
Now, this is subject to change, but where can people find you, Paul, online if they want to know more about you and your projects?
Like, I think Twitter is honestly the only platform that I frequently visit right now. So
I gotta fix that.
Yeah, definitely. So I believe that I should start a YouTube channel or TikTok or something like that. I don't think that LinkedIn is going to be much of a differential factor for me. So I should make a decision whether I should go there with Paul and just change it, update my company data and stuff like that.
And a shared post about what you're working on, maybe a little bit, but nothing like deep.
Yeah, you are right. So perhaps a post a month or so would be nice to have.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, but right now, Twitter, and in the future probably TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. And people can I find the links down below. I'm actually going to ask you one more question because I skipped over it earlier because I didn't think it really was fitting, but I'm actually kind of curious about what your answer will be. One thing I ask a lot of the guests or all the guests is like, what content do you like to make? Written, audio, or video? So newsletters or YouTube or technically TikTok too, or like podcast. And so I'm curious, what would you want to make? What are you leaning towards going into?
Well, when it comes to short form content, probably text based, so Twitter, but I like deep thinking, so I like podcasts. It's just a matter of technical thing that I have to get more used to talking in English for hours on end. But that's it. I think that this combination is quite natural for me. So because I want to fly under the curve of, probably this is something that I'm going to to put some effort into, and other things like, for example, TikTok are going to stem out of being on podcasts and other longer form content, because you always get some snippets, and you're just able to multiply the longer form content into smaller pieces, right? So this is for me the direction to go. I think so. I'll try that.
We can definitely talk about it more too. Maybe we can do a call one day and we can record it even and make it into content. And I could just like coach you a little bit on what I know about content. I also have a playlist on this channel about how to be a creator. And I talk about all the little details like that. So you might find that to be interesting. And we talked about having you on my Polycast as well, my other channel. So for like the physics and business aspect, your more multidisciplinary lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm definitely waiting forward to having you on the other podcast, because I think of myself like I'm not in academia, and I just left academy after finishing masters, not doctorate or something like that. So, but still, I think of myself as a physicist who does business rather than as a businessman who does physics. So there is this. It describes me better to think of myself as a physicist first, even though most of my time, like 80 or 90 or even more percent, is committed to business rather than to physics. But it will be very nice to talk about physics. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff that most people don't know about cosmos. And
I love astrophysics, so yeah.
That's perfect. And this is something in the neighborhood of what I was doing and what I'm doing. So, so studies on the cosmos overall, on space-time, whether locally or globally, cosmology, quantum field theory. These regions between cosmology, so the largest scale, and quantum field theory, so the lowest. These two borders is my playground, and something that I have a lot to talk about.
You get excited about it, and that's perfect for a podcast. And just one last note is like how you describe yourself is very important to people, and so it's very powerful that you chose like I want to be known as a physicist first, businessman second. And I actually had a similar situation where I was at a podcasting conference, and people view everything through that podcast lens, and so they see me, a podcaster, but I make all three content types. I have since basically towards the beginning of my content journey. And I see myself first and foremost as a blogger, a writer first, and then a YouTuber, and then a podcaster. And when I explained that to people, it really kind of clarified things for them where my mindset was. And I thought that was really interesting. Like how you describe yourself is very important in marketing yourself to others.
Yeah, this is definitely important, because sometimes something that we do rarely is or spend less time on is much more important than what we commit 90% of time on to. Like what defines us is very different usually from just what we spend hours on end on. So yeah.
Well, once again, this is Dustin PolyInnovator and Paul Sobiecki on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It was very nice talking to you, and yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you.